Dang, okay.
I had a nosebleed in both nostrils that wasn't stopping and it wasn't clotting because I was on blood thinners at the time, and lost a lot of blood.
Oh, I got a message from below.
And they had to sear it shut. Now I can't smell.
Oh, that stinks. Well, I mean, like...
No, it literally does not. Living life without a sense of smell is really easy up until your room stinks and you don't notice and everybody else does, and then you have to find out secondhand that you're living in an absolute sty. I have no idea how many times my roommates come in and like just open the window for me.
Me and Joan talked about this the other night, and honestly, we agreed that Found Family was the best. And my least favorite is enemies to lovers.
Really?
Yeah, I don't understand how you can go from hating someone to like falling in love, and I'm not a big fan of it.
Give me a bad example, or I suppose in this case a good example of a bad enemies to lovers trope.
I can't think of any, but my favorite is villain to hero. So like my favorite example is Megamind.
Yeah, Megamind in general is very, very well done. I agree.
Yes, definitely.
It's the best. Like, I need to find somewhere that I can watch it again because it's literally my favorite movie ever.
That show's a riot.
The voice acting, the comedy, the timing, the presentation, it's so good. He wasn't even really a villain. He was just a villain fanboy, which I think is hilarious.
It is.
He's almost like evil Kung Fu Panda. He was just a fanboy.
The actual villain was a fanboy too.
I know.
Yeah.
I feel that Carol Baskin might exist in a similar space to Walter's wife, whose name escapes me at the moment. She is pretty much hated by most of the viewers as like the worst person in the world because of every little bad thing she does. But the reality is that a lot of people hate her because how dare she try to get in the way of Walter, our entertaining monster of a hero, and his child murdering ways. His drug manufacturing, children dying, all the bad things that happen just because of his pride and arrogance and refusal to just be a normal person. And she gets all the hatred over it. And I feel that, yes, obviously Skylar did some shitty things, but everyone really focuses on the few things Skylar did, almost so that they have an excuse to gloss over the fact that Walter is a monster. Yeah. And I feel that Carol Baskin might exist in a very similar space. I mean, the second this show comes up, it's immediately focused on, she killed her husband, maybe, ?
Right.
And like,
I did find that weird.
Why aren't we talking about Joe? The guy who drugs up people and has a crazy, the mistreatment of animals and the huge laundry list of things that he's currently in jail for.
Yeah.
And we're focusing on the one person, and it's because, in my opinion, how dare she stand up to the fun guy?
Well, it's the, it's almost like the serial killer effect, right? People, in an attempt to produce an entertaining program, anytime they depict a serial killer, they end up glorifying them. What IRL hobbies do you have? What forces you to turn off the TV and do something else?
I have a couple. I know how to woodwork, so I like doing that. Building furniture and whatnot. Let's see. I cook. I am a hell of a cook. I do a lot of cooking and whatnot. I can make you a mean meal. I recently finally managed to perfect making a pizza from scratch.
Nice.
Got myself a, what's it called? Pizza steel. Yeah, because I used to use a pizza stone until I exploded it. And then...
What is a pizza stone and how did you blow it up?
A pizza stone is a big, large stone that you put inside of your oven. And the basic idea is that if you want to make a pizza right, you need the oven to be as hot as humanly possible.
Uh-huh.
And you want the surface that you put the pizza on to be equally hot. By putting a big rock, effectively a big rock inside of the oven, you can heat that rock up to the 500 plus degrees that you have your oven at. And then you slide the pizza onto it so that you get heat cooking the bottom of the pizza as well as the top of the pizza at the same time. The problem with the stone is that it doesn't have great thermal conductivity.
Right.
So the upgrade to that is a pizza steel, which is basically a big hunk of metal that you put in there, kind of like a flat cast iron skillet. And you put the pizza onto that, and you get the oven as hot as you can get it. And when you cook the pizza, you just slide the pizza onto that and slide it off. And that way you get that nice, you get a pizza from a pizza joint. There's little bits of char on the bottom of that pizza. That's the reason, is because they're using a pizza oven that has a good surface to cook the pizza on, because you really cook the pizza from the bottom up, not the other way around.
I have so many questions, but I just wanted to pop in and let you know that Lynx is in chat, and as soon as you mentioned cooking, she said, I'm a lucky woman. So, and I just think that's super cute.
Aww.
Okay, so now that we understand...
I appreciate that, Lynx.
So now that we know what a pizza stone is, how did you explode it? Did it just get too hot and crack?
Well, so it's I was making a calzone on it.
Right.
And the problem is, I mentioned the thermal conductivity. The outside of the stone remains hot when you put something big on it, but the inside of the stone will cool down. So the outside will remain expanded and the inside will contract due to losing all the heat. So if you put something thick enough on top of the stone, like a calzone or whatever, and it doesn't cover the entire stone, the stress from the outside wanting to be big and the inside wanting to be small will eventually make the whole thing give, and it will kind of explode into pieces.
So it wasn't necessarily that the stone got too hot per se, it's that the thing you were cooking was too thick.
Yeah, well, the problem is that the stone got too hot and too cold at the same time.
Fair enough.
No, I have. Just nothing that funny. Oh, wait, no, what am I talking about? I have the funniest thing.
Oh.
Okay, so I'm in a group, and we recently got a new member. Apparently, this member has been talking with our DM. So, our very first introduction to him, he looks like one of our other characters. And then uses Modify Memory to make us think that this other character has just been there the entire time. And that's just a thing. So anyway, we have a changeling bard now who still refuses to give us his name, by the way. We still have no idea what to call him.
So you just call him Bard?
We've called him Cassia, which is, we were just like undercover and we were using disguises, and he was disguising as one of the other players. I should have made that a bit clearer. And what we were calling her at the time was Cassia. So we've just moved the name to him.
That makes sense. So rather than actually get to know you guys and become friends normally, he just magically modified your memory so you were already friends? That is the most...
I mean, he tried to.
Oh, okay.
He managed to do it on one of them, and she is still incredibly confused about what's going on.
I would be too.
But, yeah, we've kind of just, accepted him at this point. He doesn't seem like he's going to do too much damage. And he gives us, a really cool mariachi band in the background, so we're down.
Wait, mariachi band? Where did that come in? I feel like I missed a chapter.
Well, it's level 14, so you've missed quite a few chapters, but
okay, fair enough.
He's just continuously playing background music.
That's a pretty big invasion of privacy. Is someone just stealing your appearance without your consent? That's wacky.
Well, I mean, he's a shapeshifter, so literally all he does.
Fair enough. But imagine seeing that in real life. Imagine if you had a friend who just periodically decided they wanted to look like you and went out in public and talked to your friends as you. Wouldn't you be, after you were done being mystified, wouldn't you be extremely offended? Dude.
I think I'd be more offended that my friends didn't realize that was an imposter.
Oh, actually, that's a great social experiment. Okay, guys, if someone impersonated your voice and body, do you think your friends would notice?
I think my best friend would, but I don't think anybody else would. Kind of really easy to impersonate. impersonate.
Fair enough. What about you, Drinky? Do you think your friends could pick you apart from an imposter?
I mean, like, the first question in my mind is, why would they do that?
Fun.
Fair enough.
Like, of all the people in the world to pick out, why me? Maybe someone wealthy or powerful I could get, but, like...
Because no one would ever believe you.
Oh, that's good. Or because they're new to these powers and they just want to test them out and make sure they work.
Just like picking out some random bum.
Entire social groups of like, I assume teenage girls just fangirling over serial killers. Like even the farmer bro has a cult following on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
You know what's his name? Something Skrelly?
You're kidding.
No, he
There's
has
people that like this guy?
He has a cult following of a couple hundred women who all think he's an incredibly attractive bad boy.
What?
He's
the ugliest guy I've ever seen.
He is! And like, obviously I'm not taking a dig at women in general, because obviously the majority of women are completely reasonable in my experience, but there's that very vocal minority, that just obsesses in an unhealthy manner over the most toxic of men, and it's very distressing.
Mm-hmm. Well, a lot of the time that relates to how they grew up and what they were taught for their perception of love by their parents or caregivers. So when they see someone who might be passionate, albeit about, killing people, they think, oh, if only that passion was directed towards me, we would have a great relationship.
Maybe I'm missing something, but I've never actually heard that argument before. Tell me a little bit more about that, because that sounds interesting to me. How does 2 + 2 equal serial killers are hot?
I gotta agree with Dragon in the chat. Yes, part of it is going against society norms,
Okay, for
to
sure.
be a cool kid, but a lot of it is they have almost a warped expectation of love. I heard a story once about a girl who left a man because he didn't hit her enough.
What?
And in her mind, that must mean he must not love me as much as I love him.
That's so broken.
Yeah, it really is, and it's incredibly sad. But at that point, like, they're so far gone, it's almost impossible to show them what a healthy love is. So if they see someone like a serial killer who really will go out of their way to do something, especially maybe even in a violent way, they think, wow, if he goes that far for something, imagine what would happen if he went that far for me.
What I'm hearing is, and correct me if I'm wrong, it sounds like they want a relationship that's extremely interesting and extremely passionate. And that's what they identify love as being, as extremely intense and passionate, even if it's negative.
Yeah. Of course, this is all like intro level psych bullshit, so
Right.
I am 100% not always correct.
No, absolutely. No, I think you bring up an interesting point. There's a lot of minutia like that completely go over my head or go unnoticed.
Pack off your sin and go to the devil in Hades. You'll meet the finest gentle